Information right. The center was located at 9.8 north latitude, 156.4 east longitude. It's about 825 miles east-southeast of Guam, 815 miles east-southeast of Rota, and 810 miles east-southeast of Saipan and Tinian. It's moving toward the west at about 7 miles an hour. It's expected to move to the west today and then take a more west-northwest track toward the Mariana Islands. Current intensity, 60 miles per hour. The gusts associated with that will be up around 75 miles per hour. Damaging winds extend out to about 140 miles. And it looks like it's switched around more to the north, so we'll maybe making some adjustments in terms of the distribution around the storm. Destructive winds, there's none yet, but they should be showing up here soon. And typhoon winds, none yet. CPA for Guam early Friday night, 15 miles southwest of Mauricio, something like that. Don't take that. 15 miles southwest, that could change. It could be right over the island. It could be a little farther away. It could be in the Rota Channel. So just keep that in mind. The onset of 39 mile per hour winds based on this forecast, late Friday morning, duration about 12 hours maybe. Onset of sustained destructive winds late Friday afternoon, maybe for 5 or 6 hours, and then the onset of 75 mile per hour winds Friday around noon, maybe 2 to 3 hours of typhoon winds. But if it moves any closer, those durations are going to increase. Maximum sustained wind predicted for Guam right now, 90 miles per hour with gusts to 110 miles per hour. So, typhoon, okay? That's the weakest of the typhoons. Just keep one thing in mind. There are no weak typhoons, okay? That's the weakest of the typhoons. So, open ocean seas, we drop those a little bit, and the surf a little bit. So 2 to 4 feet of inundation possible on south and east shores, based on this forecast. Of course, if it comes over the island, we're going to have to plan for an eye passage, and that means all the beaches around the island will have to are susceptible to maybe 2 to 4 feet of inundation. So, high tide information. We're going to have a pretty good tide here on Saturday, so just keep that in mind. And the worst conditions will always be at high tide, but we always tell you high tide. We cannot predict whether it's going to hit high or low tide within 24 hours or so. So plan for high tide, and if it hits at low tide, that's great. Next, precipitation, 8 to 12 inches during the passage. More if it slows down or moves closer, and less if it speeds up or moves farther away. This is not, the current forecast is probably one of the worst kind of forecasts for the southern part of Guam, because we have the mountains down there. And the mountains are going to help induce heavier rainfall. So the southern part is going to have drainage problems down there, and I'm sure some flooding problems. We'll probably issue a flash flood warning maybe Friday morning. Watch was issued today at 8 a.m. for Guam and Rota, and a tropical storm watch was issued for Tinian and Saipan. A typhoon warning is possible Thursday morning, maybe Thursday afternoon. Core 2 will likely be set sometime Thursday, and Core 1 probably Thursday night or Friday morning. Depends on really how fast this thing moves toward us. So next. Typhoon, Category 1 typhoon. These are the sustained winds and the gusts. Lots of small and some large limbs are going to be down. Some damage to poorly constructed buildings. A few secondary power lines are going to be down. A lot of power lines are going to be, down by falling debris, a lot of them. Some wooden poles tilted and rotten ones broken. How many wooden power poles do we still have on the island?
There's one on my street.
Is there? Okay, good. It's good to know. Okay. Roofing tin and plywood may become airborne. Strong rip currents, low-level coastal flooding, 2 to 4 feet of elevation on eastern exposures. Next. We usually plan for a category higher just because of the